Spring has sprung here in North Carolina, and I am so excited to finally be able to start planting some annuals. Join me today as I plant this beautiful Michael Carr planter with some beautiful Proven Winners annuals, and we'll go over some of the basics of how you can be successful when you design and plant a container. Stay tuned. Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and here we are on this beautiful April morning, and this is going to be my first container that I am going to plant for the season. I have been looking forward to this moment for quite a long time, as I am sure that you have been also, because it is spring here in the South. We are finally able to go ahead and begin planting some of our gorgeous annuals that will take us through spring, summer, and fall. I thought it would be great to go over and review some of the basics of just some fundamental issues that you need to remember when you are designing your containers. Maybe you've been gardening for years and this will just be a refresher course for you, or maybe you're a brand new gardener and you have no clue to where to begin. So I hope this little tutorial would be really helpful for you. Now, one of the first components that you really need to think about when you're picking out your container is, I always recommend to our customers, pick out the largest container that your space can hold. Here today we have this gorgeous strawberry planter. It is one of these designed from Michael Carr. Jerry and I went to go visit Michael's showroom last July to place our orders for our containers for this growing season. And as soon as I saw these strawberry planters, I absolutely fell in love with them because I had never seen a strawberry planter like this before. Michael was great when he was designing it because the center hole is big enough to hold a 6-inch or a gallon container, whereas each of the 8 holes around it will easily, perfectly hold a 4.25 container, which is what we're going to be using today. So get the biggest container that your space can allow, because you need as much soil in your container that you can possibly allow. The plants need all of that room and that extra soil for their roots to grow. It holds more moisture, it holds more food. You're not going to have to water as often. So go big or go home is what I say. Next, what we're going to do is make sure that you get a really great high quality potting soil. Today I'm going to be using the Proven Winners potting soil. Get the best premium potting soil that you can possibly have, because that is your growing medium. That is where your plants are feeding from. So I have right here the Proven Winners potting soil. We really like the Proven Winners potting soil because it is, again, just a high quality, and it does already have some slow release fertilizer in here. Now, I have heard this so many times that, you shouldn't use, fill up your container, especially if it's a large container, with all potting soil. Fill in the bottom with either like packing peanuts, or here in the South, pine cones, or empty soft drink bottles. Please do not do that. Do not do that. You want your container completely filled with potting soil. So that is what we're going to do today. And also, when you're picking out your container, I forgot to mention this, please make sure it has a drain hole. If it doesn't have a drain hole, then you're just setting yourself up for a lot of problems, because over time, the pot's just going to fill with water. So it's got to have a drain hole. Get as big as you can get it, and use really good quality potting soil. So because this is a strawberry planter, it's going to be a little interesting as far as like how we fill it up. I'm probably not going to fill it up all the way like I normally would on a container. And I've never planted this strawberry planter before, so we're going to learn together. All right, so you're going to put it in there. And then I'm just going to zhuzh it. That's a real technical gardening term, by the way, zhuzh. So get my soil in there, and then you're going to kind of press it down, because of course this potting soil is nice and fluffy, and we want it a little bit more compact so that when we're finished and we water, the soil doesn't sink too much. So there we go. It is in there and it's nice and firm. Now, again, like I said, this is the first time I've planted with this container, so I don't really know the best method as far as filling it up with soil, so we're gonna learn it together. Now, you've got your soil in there. Next, you're gonna choose your plants. So this is the fun part. Now, when you're picking your plants, you want to choose plants that have the same growing conditions. So for today, what we're going to be doing is using plants that will be in full sun. These are all going to be full sun plants. You don't want to mix a full sun plant with a shade plant because they're going to have completely different growing conditions. We are going to use today the fiber optics grass all these are from Proven Winners. These are all annuals. Remember, annuals mean they're going to last for one season. So in the center, I'm going to have this beautiful fiber optics grass. It is not going to be a super tall grass. It's going to be more of a low, moundy grass. It's called fiber optics because it has the beautiful little white, I don't know, plumes, maybe you want to call them, on the end, and it looks like fiber optic cable. So that's going to go in the center. And then around it, we are going to use a mix of some beautiful super bells. This is the white super bells from Proven Winners. It's also known as a calibrachoa. So super bells is Proven Winners' branded name, trademark name for their calibrachoa. Also, maybe you know them as million bells. So we've got that pure white one. We're going to use that. Super bells do great in containers, hanging baskets, window boxes, all sorts of containers. Super bells are not recommended to go into the ground because they do not like to have wet feet. So use super bells in all types of containers. We highly recommend not putting them in the ground. They don't like wet feet, and they're not going to perform as well, especially for us because we have red clay soil, which really retains the water. So everything but the ground. Next, we have got the fabulous, the one, the only Sharon Supertunia. Now, Sharon is really unique because she is a double petunia. She is pink with white. Supertunias, again, are Proven Winners' trademark name for all of their petunias. Petunias do great in all kinds of applications, whether you're talking about window boxes, in the ground, containers, hanging baskets, very, very versatile. So we're using Sharon in here because she's really sweet and she's more compact. She's not going to be a real vigorous grower. And then last but not least, for a little bit of hot pink in our life, we are going to use the Supertunia Mini Vista Hot Pink. Now, you notice that I said mini vista. Mini vistas still are a petunia, so they're still going to spread and they're still going to trail. But they're minis where they're not going to be as vigorous as the Vista series. The Vista series from Proven Winners is their most vigorous spreader grower. This would be an application in this container where I would not want to use the Vistas because they would just overtake the whole pot, and by midway through the summer this pot is going to be so root bound that they would just really struggle. So I love the Vistas rather in the landscape or really large containers. Mini Vistas will do great in this medium-sized container. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and get these planted. I am going to alternate with my colors. So I'm going to start on the edges, and first in the middle, we're going to put our Super Bell white. Now, she's going to sit right there, and she's nestled in on the soil, and I'm just going to come through. Again, remember this is the first time I've planted this, so we're going to figure this out together. I'm going to scoop some soil and pack it up around the roots. So that is another key when you're planting your containers, is that you don't want any air pockets. You want your plant roots to be completely covered in soil. So we're just going to go through here and come on the back side, kind of push down from here and push up with the soil. This is a little bit of a unique planting challenge because you can't really get in there all the way. So there she is. Next, we are going to do Sharon. Sharon's going to go next. Here we go. And all of these, even though they may be the super bells, the supertunias, and the mini vistas, these all are going to spread. So these are all going to trail over. They're going to grow into each other as the season goes on. And in fact, when I was talking to Michael last year about these containers and just telling him how much I love them, he told me, he said, well, Jenny, look at this picture. So he had a picture of one of his strawberry planters at his house that he had planted. You couldn't even see the pot because they loved it so much and were growing so strong and so vigorous that by the end of the season, because that was in July when I was talking to him, he's down in Georgia, and so their growing season begins just a little bit probably sooner than ours does. And so it was a beautiful container, but he was like, you can't even see my pot. So see how nicely these little 4.25s fit in there? I mean, just absolutely perfect. And all I'm doing is in the pot is I'm getting my soil and I'm pushing it up next to the root ball so that they're nice and secure. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just go all the way around and finish up planting the annuals. Okay friends, so all of the flowering annuals are in. Now there was a little bit of a design choice here because there are 8 holes around here and I was using 3 plants. Now Jenny, with her little OCD, of course would love it to be 9 holes by choosing 3 plants, because then I could have 3 of each. Or, you know, of course, if I had just chosen 2 plants, then I could have just alternated them around. So we decided, Megan is helping me today, and so we decided to use only 2 of the Mini Vista Hot Pinks with 3 of the Super Belle White and 3 of the Supertunia Sharon. Again, this is completely up to you. What colors do you like? What textures do you like? You don't have to use all flowering. You could put, you know, just a foliage plant in here that trails. This part of the process is completely up to you and is your choice. This is what I tell people all the time. It is your garden. Choose what you like and go with that. You know, there is no set right or wrong as far as picking the colors and the textures. Just have fun. Now, they are in, and last but not least, what we're going to do is we are going to put our fiber optic grass down in the center. Now, this is a gallon container. Look at that great root system. So people will ask me all the time, you know, I noticed that you're not breaking up your root system, your root balls, you know, why not? Well, with the Super Belles and Supertunias, again, it's early in the season. There's absolutely no reason for me to do that. They're not root bound. I would not even consider this grass root bound. Root bound plant means that the whole side is completely white, the whole bottom is completely white and thick and matted. Yes, that is a nice extensive root system, but it is by no means, this is not root bound. So I am not going to mess with the roots at all. At that point, if I did, I would probably do more damage than I am doing good. And again, these are annuals. They will stretch out those roots and they will grow. So we're just going to simply put that down there. Now, there is a little bit of extra room, so I'm going to pull fiber optic up, ladies, like you're doing a ponytail, and you will see that there's some extra room in there. So I'm going to grab my soil and fill it in. Now this is about to get messy probably, but you know what? What is it? It's not gardening until you get dirty. So we're just going to come in here, fill it all in. And again, you're going to have to do a little zhuzhing and a little poking and a little tucking. That's all right. Now, if you were not using a soil that had slow release fertilizer already added to it, like this Proven Winners does, and even with this Proven Winners, I could have gone ahead and added a little bit of extra slow release, time release fertilizer in here, but today I just chose not to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know, I can't explain it. But this would be a great time if you wanted to, that you could add, when you're putting in your plants, add some of that time release fertilizer in there and just mix it in with the soil. So I've got a little bit more pockets. Okay, I think everybody's nice and tucked in here and very happy. But the fertilizer question is very common and people ask about it a lot. Again, this soil that I'm using from Proven Winners does have the time release fertilizer in there. I did not add it today. But when I come back, let's say, typically in a container that will last about 2 to 3 months. It depends on how much you water it and so forth. But if you notice your plant starting to look a little sad and they need a little bit of help, then go ahead and add the slow release, time release, Proven Winners fertilizer. It's very simple. It comes in this great container, has a little bit of a shaker top so you can actually shake it in there, or when you open it up, there is a scoop, and you can just scoop it. They're little pellets, so it's really simple. But you can see kind of what it looks like. Those just little pellets. This is released based on the temperature. So this is great in the summertime when the heat hits. This is wonderful to go ahead and add. And every time you water or it rains, then it releases the fertilizer. Now, what am I going to do to feed this container on a more regular basis? That is where your Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer comes in. This is fantastic fertilizer because remember, all of these flowering annuals are very heavy feeders, and if you don't feed them, they're not going to perform. Food equals flowers, especially when you're talking about supertunias and superbells, extremely heavy feeders. So you will need to feed these plants basically every third watering. If that's too hard to remember, like my brain can't handle that. There's too much information in my brain and too many dates and too many schedules. So I just set a day. I have this, Mondays typically for us are our slowest days. So for me, Monday mornings are the days that I go around and fertilize my annuals. That way in my brain, I remember Monday mornings, I need to fertilize. Again, super simple. They're in little bags. You simply put 1 scoop of fertilizer for 1 gallon of water, and then you just simply water as normal. Very easy, very simple. But if you notice that your plants are not performing really well, they probably need more food. Now, watering, again, this is a container, so you're going to have to really kind of take care of it and water it, especially if you're not getting a consistent amount of rain. The only kind of water that it's going to receive, since it's in a container, is from you. So you've got to be consistent on your watering, and you can't let this dry out for long periods of time. If so, you're going to risk losing your plants. So now it's a springtime. You could water this container maybe every couple of days. Not a whole lot. One, the temperatures are not high. Two, there's not an extensive root system yet for all of these plants. So your soil is holding on to that water and food. As the season progresses, as the plants get bigger, as the temperatures go up, you're gonna have to water it more consistently. So for me, I know in our nice hot North Carolina climate, I am gonna have to water this every day when the heat hits. So for me, that's probably like the end of May, beginning of June, watering it every single day. And then again, depending on how much sun you get, if you get full baked sun from sun up to sundown, maybe in July and August, you might find that you're having to water it twice a day. Your plants will let you know. When they get kind of shrivelly, they're saying, help, I need water, so you need to water your plants. This has turned out a really fun planter. I cannot wait to watch it grow. I think I'm going to stick it on my front porch because around the yard we're going to be using lots of pinks. We're going to use bubble gums. So these plants, even though they're not the exact ones that I will be using in the landscape, the colors will coordinate beautifully. So that I'm going to stick it on the front porch, nice where we can see it up close when we drive, come home, our driveway, it'll be right there and we can see it. I certainly will give you updates on how this planter grows and develops throughout this season. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you have learned some things. And as always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.